15 years after its finale, The Office is still one of the most streamed shows on the planet. Now get ready to learn everything you ever wanted to know, from its lukewarm reception to its epic end, in a new podcast hosted by our favorite accountant, Kevin, aka Brian Baumgartner. And Brian is with us now. Welcome, Brian. Good to see you.
Great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, I listened to the podcast. I listened to 3 episodes in one shot. I'm already hooked because who doesn't love The Office? But you are not only hosting this, but you are exec producing this too. So how did the whole idea come about?
You know, it started with an idea. Ben Silverman, who originally was the executive producer of The Office and brought it over from Britain, had an idea of doing a podcast for us to be able to tell our own story, to come from the inside. And he approached me about partnering with him. And I started thinking about it. And, you know, we haven't filmed a scene of the show in 7 years. Yet now, today, the show is more popular than it was when we were the #1 show on NBC.
Isn't that it's just a crazy concept to grasp, don't you think?
No, it's insane. I mean, the first day, official day of the coronavirus pandemic, right? March 15th, it was a Sunday. On that day, 250 million minutes were streamed on Netflix in that day alone, which is insane.
It's insane. Can you believe that some of the people that watch the show now are people who weren't born when this started?
Oh, I know. Well, and also that they don't know that the show was never not on Netflix. Like, to them, it's a Netflix show. And so I had the idea of wanting to find out why. Like, why is the show now? Why is it appealing to young people, 13, 12, 11-year-old? Like, why are they watching it? And so I wanted to go back, and I have over 100 hours of recorded interviews with actors and producers and writers and directors and crew members, and all trying to explore this question of why. Like, why is it appealing to young people? Why am I in a Billie Eilish song right now? This makes no sense to me. And so we put together this story, and like oral histories, they've existed since the cavemen, right? Like, before there was writing, people were telling stories. And so to me, what I thought would be fascinating is to go back through and tell the story from when we were almost canceled, truly almost canceled, through today, where it's the most watched show in television, you know, including new shows today, 7 years since we've shot something.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, so the podcast, it really takes fans all the way back to the beginning, like to casting, to kind of the not so warm reception that you guys got in the beginning, which I can't even believe at this point.
Right. Just
kind of the major moments from the show. So let's start with that. What was the experience like getting the part of Kevin?
Well, I mean, for me, it was crazy. I was in New York, I was in Chicago and Minneapolis and San Francisco. I was a theater actor, and I struggled and went city to city and was leading that life, doing 8 shows a week. And then, you know, for me, I moved to Los Angeles, and I met the folks on The Office 3-4 months after I moved there. I had seen the British version of The Office. I loved it. And I thought, well, here's a pseudo documentary about unknown people. If there's a show, not just a role, but if there's a show that is happening this year and a role that is in a show that is happening this year, I identified that Kevin should be mine. Yeah. And so, I sought out the role and originally read for the role of Stanley, actually. Yeah.
So almost everybody from the cast is involved in this podcast, kind of telling these unheard stories. But, you know, you learn a lot about kind of these moments. What did you learn in this whole process of the podcast?
You know, truly, I learned a lot. And, you know, a question I keep getting is like, what, you know, people have talked about the show now, it's been out, like, what is there to learn? But going through, you know, hearing from everybody has a different perspective on everything. Yeah. And the people that I worked with weren't just talented, they were also tremendously good people. Yeah. And I think ultimately there's a lot of love between the people. And I think that comes through for viewers.
Yeah. And it seems like you all as a cast, you know, outside of your characters, we're really kind of a family. You still get involved with each other's projects, which is so nice to see, because we all want to think you're family anyway. Right. But I mean, I mean, could there be a reboot? Could there be a season 10? What do we think about that?
I don't know. NBC hasn't called yet, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, I would say that the chances that we will get back together in some form at some time, I think is likely.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly how that manifests itself.
Well, you can listen to the oral history of The Office on Spotify now, and you can watch The Office on Netflix. Next year, it's going to be on Peacock, so you'll always have a place to find it. Brian,
right.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.